Good morning. Welcome back to, what is this? The Reading Mama? Yeah, let's go with that. My name is Heather, and today I have another author spotlight to you from the outside of my church. So I wanted to talk to you about Jamie Jo Wright. Now, I have not read all her books, okay? So this is a big caveat. I've read 3 books, and they've been wonderful. So I'm going to tell you about those 3 books, and I'm going to give you a little synopsis of this author to help you kind of decide whether or not she is for you. So Jamie Jo Wright is a Christian thriller mystery writer. Now, her books are creepy. Okay, I don't do creepy. I don't do horror. I don't do, I can do action and adventure, but creepy horror is not my thing. Things with ghosts and things like that, paranormal, outside of the fantasy world is not for me. So every time I start a book from her, I'm about ready to DNF, and I think to myself, trust the process, because a lot of her books start off with some kind of paranormal or creepy, scary thing that that would be a put off to me in a normal book. But because I powered through the first book and I realized it was really good, I've trusted the process and I've enjoyed it ever since. Am I going to say blanket statement? All of her books? Maybe not, but probably I think I would love all of them. So I've only read 3, and I'm going to give you a little synopsis. They deal with some heavy topics. So you're going to start out with dual timelines. All the ones I've read were dual timelines, and they always have a subplot romance. So like very bottom, not the focus really. And then they also have Christian underscores throughout. So this is not any heavy-handed Christian morality, anything like that, but it is in there, and it is done in a very natural and thought-provoking way that I really appreciate. And then they also, like I said, deal with some heavy topics. The ones that I've read so far have dealt with marital stress, mental instability, and what will be the last one? I don't even know. There's some fear, PTSD. That's what we'll call it. And so you have these heavy topics that are kind of pushing the story forward, and she does it in such a good way. And I really love, because the dual timelines, you think, well, how are these going to come together? They generally so far have kind of centered around a location or an event, and then I really like seeing how she brings them together in the end. But at the same time, she does a really great job of sometimes marrying the characters together, not through just the location, but through some other aspects, either character wise or through experiences. And so let me tell you about the 3 I've read, and I go into better detail because I do not have these all memorized. Okay, I have read way too many books this year to know all of the plots for all of the books and all the character names. But the first book I read was The Tempest at Annabelle's Island, and I will give you a caveat on this one. It gives you an ick at the beginning, because you have a woman who is thinking about leaving her husband. She really focuses on self-care and blah 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 blah, and you're like, this is not the right mentality. This is not, I'm just gonna give you a spoiler right now, okay? So if you don't want to hear it, skip like 30 seconds ahead. It sounds like she's gonna have an affair, and she does not, okay? The marital stuff to me was actually very relatable, not the affair part of it, but the struggling with, communicating to your husband and understanding what they want and trying to live your life together, and how they come to the end was, to me, it really kind of rang true in some of the words that were said. So keep that in mind. But this one, again, had some of that creepy aspect that I almost gave up at the beginning, but in the end I did enjoy, but I did like the other books better. The next book I read was The Curse of Misty Wayfair, and this one, the ick factor, man. So there's like a ghost kind of story going on, and you also have a photographer who takes pictures of people right after they died, because that was a thing back in the day, and it's creepy. But that's not like, that happens in the story, but it's not like, the pictures are not the main thing in the story. Anyway, I digress. And this story follows 2 different women, and it really follows this curse that's apparently on this area, from Misty Wayfair or somebody back in the day. And there's a whole big long history and all this thing going on. But it deals with a mental asylum that's nearby, and some of the things that are going on, and some of the atrocities that were done in the past, and mental health in general with people who are either, I think there was a girl who had Asperger's maybe in it. Maybe she's autistic. I don't remember specifically, but she was very high functioning, but she struggled with relations and things like that. And so you have those concepts in there. That one I felt was a little more romance heavy. And then I read On Cliffs of Foxglove Manor, and this one has some, again, you've got kind of a ghost story going on. Push past it. I promise it's never a ghost, okay? It's never a ghost. That's what I tell myself when I'm reading her books. It's never really a ghost. Just keep reading. And so you have some PTSD of a child who was kidnapped and no one believed her. And also you deal with some of the things that come along with her having a brother who is autistic and nonverbal. And some of that plays into it, as well as elderly care comes into it. So some heavier topics through this thriller mystery that are explored that are really interesting. And like I said, it keeps you on your toes. You keep bouncing back and forth, but in a very fluid manner. I never felt like I was chopped in between the dual timelines. And I really, really enjoyed all 3 books. So I'm going to continue reading. If you know about Jimmy Joe Wright and you have a favorite book you think I should read next, drop it below. If you haven't read Jimmy Joe Wright, and just from the 3 books I read, I would start with On Cliffs of Foxglove Manor. That's what I would say to start with out of the 3 I've read, just because I felt like it had less of a creepy factor. But all 3 I really did enjoy overall. So I'm going to continue reading this author and need to know what my next book rec should be. So thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.